go to an HBCU for undergrad and you go for a PWI for grad. So when you're talking about your MBA at Harvard, Stanford, your law degree from Yale, Princeton, any of the top 10 law schools, you know what I'm saying? HBCUs are top feeder schools into these programs, right? So you can still choose to go to an HBCU because Howard Law School is killing it. You know what I'm saying? Howard Business School, FAMU Business School, like FAMU Pharmacy School, like one of the top pharmacy schools in the nation, right? So you still can continue down that route. But if you want that experience, you want that PWI experience, you still have grad school.
All right, so boom, welcome back to another episode of the Black Caliber Podcast. I'm here with
Derick Pearson,
right? And he is the CEO of CFBI. Can you please tell us what that is?
CFBI is the Center for Black Innovation. We're based here in Miami, and our purpose is to eliminate innovation deserts in Black communities. And we do that through our core pillars, education, financial literacy, and access to capital. And we do it also through research. So those are the 4 pillars in which we transform our communities, and we make sure that we are playing the game of business and playing in the field of innovation.
Okay. So these 4 pillars, right? So I'll start, because the one that always stick out and thing I was always big on, especially in school, is financial literacy. How in your center are you really teaching financial literacy?
So just yesterday, we had our Wine, Whiskey, and Wisdom, which is our monthly event. We had Bilal Little, who is a financial advisor. He worked at BlackRock, which is one of the top private equity firms in the world. He also worked at a series of other institutions, cryptocurrency startups, other financial advisory organizations, startups to actually go after RIAs, which are registered investment advisors, and bring them to these Black financial advisors so that they can actually deploy that capital and fund managers. So we do that through that program. We have our Angel Accreditation Academy, where we identify high net worth individuals. You don't necessarily need any training per se to become an accredited investor. All you have to do is have the income requirements. But we're in the business of creating wealth and prosperity. We want to de-risk your investment in the riskiest of investments, which are businesses, startups, early businesses that have no traction. So we put them through that series of training so that they can keep their money, so they can have a higher likelihood of guaranteeing a return. Also, we bring in experts, accountants, to talk to our communities. And we also have lawyers that come in and say, hey, how do you go around? How do you plan this? How do you protect your assets? Again, we want to be able to have generational wealth. We want to be able to promote generational wealth. And the way you do that is by protecting your assets so that they're around when you're no longer around.
Okay. So what got you started in this field? Like what was your drive to create this?
Oh man, when I was in high school, my goal was always to be a pillar in the Black community. And that's what I wrote on my admissions essay to Morehouse College. So I went to Morehouse, graduated with economics and math, and then I worked in finance at Target. When I was in middle school, on my 9th grade year, I purchased a book, an autobiography. It was a biography of Warren Buffett, and that just inspired me. I would always be, like, ever since middle school, I would be watching CBS. I'll be watching, what was the other one I would watch? CNBC. I'll watch Bloomberg. All of these financial networks and these broadcasts will give me insight to understand, hey, this is what makes the world go round. Economic empowerment is the basis of creating wealth and power in this country, which is a capitalist society. So that's where my drive for financial literacy and entrepreneurship started. We created Black Tech Week and Code Fever because Black people were being left out of technology. A lot of the wealth in our nation, the transfer of wealth, was that of people getting into technology early, these startups early, getting equity in these startups. And then when they're acquired or they exit, you have these big payouts, millions of dollars. So you're creating all these millionaires, people that don't look like us. And our people who are in technology are going to work for the federal government. People who don't look like us are going to work in Silicon Valley, and they're the ones becoming the millionaires while we're worried about a pension, right? So we said, okay, how do we get more Black people into technology? And that's where Black Tech Week came from. That's where Code Fever came from. We would attend conferences like South by Southwest, and not many people who look like us are in those spaces. So Code Fever was to train the talent. Black Tech Week was to move from a train and pray model. So
train and pray. So
yeah, we train them and we pray that they get a job, right? Yeah, we want to move away from that, right? So Black Tech Week started off as a career fair, but 90% of people hire people that look like them. So we bring in these founders who are people of color to hire our graduates, but they don't have access to the capital, right? Because the venture capitalist firms don't believe in the Black founders, right? So they undercapitalize them. So they can't even hire the talent that we're developing. So Black Tech Week began to change. We started bringing more angel investors, more VCs, more private equity people into the room so that the capital begins to flow into the Black businesses and they begin to hire technology companies. So now we've solely focused on finance. We sold Black Tech Week to Lightship Capital. They're doing a phenomenal job. Scaling and growing that organization is still around, and that's part of legacy building, right? So if you feel that you're no longer the best steward of that because your passion isn't there or you're burnt out, how do you best position that organization and that work in the hands of somebody, or in this case, two people, a couple, Brian and Candace Brad-King, to take it to the next level? And they did a phenomenal job of taking it to the next level. So that's where all of this started. It's where the Center for Black Innovation started.
Okay. And you mentioned, so you went to Morehouse or HBCU.
Yes.
So how do you feel like that prepared you for where you are?
Oh man, so your network is your net worth, right? And so you also need to be able to de-risk the snakes in your life. You know what I'm saying? You have a lot of people who live in deception, right? I'm not saying that other Black people, you know what I'm saying, won't screw you over. A lot of times, all skin folks ain't your kinfolk, right? But when you put yourself in a situation of going to an HBCU and you have professors who are passionate about it and have a purpose in building up the next generation of leaders, and the camaraderie and the fellowship at an HBCU is second to none, right? You see that at a PWI, predominantly white institution, in the Black Student Union. It's just on a smaller scale. You know what I'm saying? If you see that with the Asian Student Union, like everybody comes together to create that community so that they can succeed. You know what I'm saying? Because people are social beings, right? So you want to make sure that you surround yourself with like minds as well as light skin. That's not necessarily saying that, hey, I'm going to be over here and I'm not going to come over here and intermix with everybody. But an HBCU, it's particularly Morehouse, you had people coming from boarding schools. You had princes coming from, Ghana, Nigeria. Like, it was so diverse that you already seen the power dynamics of how society works. Race is really a non-issue from the standpoint of it being able to block you, right? It's a distraction. And the vast majority of the people who implement racism are people of lower income. The real issue is classism. So how do you begin to tackle classism when you have billionaires dictating policies down to other people, right? So I say the HBCU is one of the best experiences that I had in my life, and it prepared me to succeed in corporate America. It prepared me to interact, be professional, and informed, because you have to know where you come from in order to know where you're going, because the past dictates the present.
The present dictates the future.
Yes.
That was, especially as an HBCU student myself, it's like, I feel that, like, we're going to school when I first get there, and it's like you seeing everybody around you doing the same things. Like,
Right.
everybody's here for a reason.
Right.
At least most of them. Most people are here for a reason. We're here to, move forward. So just that feeling, like, I remember the day I really realized, like, I was happy to go to the HBCU. So my mom was like, nah, because I could have gone to PWI in West Virginia. She was like, just go to HBCU.
So the thing is, this is my take on it. You go to an HBCU for undergrad, and you go for a PWI for grad. So when you're talking about your MBA at Harvard, Stanford, your law degree from Yale, Princeton, any of the top 10 law schools, you know what I'm saying? HBCUs are top feeder schools into these programs, right? So you can still choose to go to an HBCU because Howard Law School is killing it. You know what I'm saying? Howard Business School, FAMU Business School, like FAMU Pharmacy School, like one of the top pharmacy schools in the nation, right? So you still can continue down that route. But if you want that experience, you want that PWI experience, you still have grad school.
Yeah, I know. It was just funny because, like I said, I sit there and I was just like, wow. Like, one day it just came in. Like, I'm looking at campus and I'm like, it just felt like you could be unapologetically Black, to a degree. And that was a wonderful feeling.
Unapologetically Black and being poured into and nurtured. So when you go to a PWI, you're not going to get that because it's so much volume. It's so, like me, I was in the master's program at Georgia Tech. And it's just like, bam, do this work. And it's just rapid. It's like, there's no nurturing. I don't care. You better have that drive. You better stay up all night. I'm not going to check on you. I'm not going to do any of that. There is no community feel when you're at these large institutions because it's a business. And you're talking 30, 50, 40,000 people.
Yeah.
Like they don't have the bandwidth for that. And you're talking about your class size, 50 to 100 people in your class. It only gets smaller when you get into your specialty, right? So that's something to consider as well. HBCUs have smaller class sizes.
They do. That's the thing. I'm like, wow.
And this is what people pay top dollar for private education, K through 12, smaller class size. So you're guaranteed to get that at HBCU.
And see people that look like you doing.
Right.
And that's really inspiration.
Yep.
Right. So with that, can I just get you to say, this is the Black Caliber Podcast?
This is the Black Caliber Podcast.
Right. And thank you so much for coming out, agreeing to be on this, and thank you for watching.